Welcome back. Home sales are up some 14% in Massachusetts over this past year. It's another sign of an economic recovery in progress. And much of the lending that's done is done by smaller commercial and community banks like Rockland Trust.
With 77 branches and about $5.8 billion in assets, Rockland Trust is the largest publicly traded commercial bank headquartered in Massachusetts. In the past 2 years, they say they've been the top commercial real estate lender in the state as well. Joining us now is Chris Oddleifson, CEO of Rockland Trust. Chris, good to have you here.
It's great to be here. Thank you.
Chris, welcome. This has been an interesting time, to put it mildly, not only with the economy, but with banking. We noted that there's a comeback, if you will, in housing. Talk to us about what you see and what the difference is now and 5 years ago when everything seemed to crash.
Yeah, 5 years ago we were looking down a deep, dark tunnel, weren't we? And we didn't know quite where it ended.
Right.
The data, though, suggests that things are firming up. I mean, you take a look at the housing prices, especially in the metro Boston area and sort of adjacent areas. They are looking good. The number of days of supply of houses is actually coming down, which is a strong message, too. And also, you take a look at commercial lending activity, and we had a blockbuster fourth quarter, our best by far in the history of the bank. So there are some signs that there's economic activity sort of perking up. We're seeing.
No, go ahead.
And so on the commercial side, we are seeing things getting a little more competitive on the pricing and term side. Nothing to be terribly concerned about right now overall. We're still expecting to generate some good volume in 2013. But there seems to be sort of a little bit of loosening there.
All right. Just this past week, as I understand it, your holding company, Independent Bank Corp's rating on Portfolio Grader rose, right? From C to B, and that means buying is encouraged. What do you think may have led to that? And you must be encouraged by it, I would guess.
Encouraged to buy a home.
You must be encouraged about that move on the rating.
Yes, very encouraged. I mean, the Rockland Trust is a very strong company, and to be recognized by folks outside is always a positive. I mean, you can sort of talk how great you are, but when others tell you that you're good, I like that even better.
Third-party testimonials, one of which is from the Small Business Administration, which also has ranked your institution as either #1 or among the most important in terms of loans to small businesses, which we know very much related to economic recovery. What's involved with that?
Well, that's a real focus on the community and our customers, and trying to, we're a regional community bank. We understand that the tide rises and falls for all of us in the community, including the banks. To the extent that we can partner with the SBA to encourage even more lending in our region, I mean, I think that's a real sort of a win-win.
No, go ahead, Greg.
And I might take the opportunity to also point out that there are a number of other sort of third parties that have said, hey, good job, Rockland Trust, including J.D. Power gave us the #1 customer satisfaction sort of ranking in New England, which is terrific. Boston Globe saying, hey, you're a great place to work in their rankings. The Warren Group saying that we're the top commercial lender. So we really care about our communities, and we try our darndest to sort of make communities stronger and better. But when other people sort of recognize those efforts, it feels especially good.
Getting back to the feds for just a second, you were mentioning the federal government earlier and the sequester. We have this long-term policy by the Fed to keep interest rates low. There may be some speculation that they may be ready to think about, changing that. What's your sense about how long these really low interest rates are going to stick around as far as your lending goes?
That is a question I lose sleep over. Yeah. I'm very concerned about that because the prolonged low interest rate, what it does, and without getting too technical, is it reduces revenues to banks. And by reducing the revenues to banks, they are then able to do less lending in the marketplace, and it's sort of a negative sort of reinforcing loop. How long? I'm hoping not longer than another 18 to 24 months, but Ben Bernanke says I'm going to be continuing to keep interest rates low for the foreseeable future, and we're going to be keying off the unemployment rate. So this is something that keeps me up at night.
You've referenced what the impact is of lower Fed interest rates on the entire banking industry. Talk for a moment about the industry. You're part of a thriving, smaller community commercial bank, and there are also the so-called bigs. How do you see the industry going forward?
Well, that's a great question. If you simply take a look at the profitability and or the health of the industry over the last 12 quarters, it really has recovered from the dark days. I mean, the loan losses are under control, and it looks like banks we're not worried about the next big failure, which is all good. There is a concern over sort of the medium term with these low interest rate environments and the higher regulatory and compliance costs to stay in business, that the small banks are going to really have a tough time of it. Now, that remains to be seen, but that's a lot of what the industry sort of analysts are talking about.
You know, the other thing that I've noted in the past is having a healthy banking industry is very important to having a healthy economy. And sometimes, you know, folks don't get that. But let me just come back to banking. You've expanded. You had an acquisition of Central Bank. Talk about your growth strategy going forward.
Yes, Central Bank, we purchased in November. We actually changed the computer systems and all the signs last weekend. It went great. We're in a number of communities north of the city. I'm often asked, okay, what's next? And the answer is, while we're interested in making more acquisitions, there's so few banks out there you could even acquire if they wanted to sell, that you really need to focus on organic growth. You need to ask yourself, what can you do yourself to build your business? And so, for example, we recently brought on an asset-based lending group that focuses into the commercial space on asset-based lending, which is doing good things for incremental business. We are bringing a lot of technological products to the table for retail customers. You're able to deposit your checks by your phone. So that's a lot of fun to do if you haven't done it before. And also, we are on the planning boards opening up one of our investment management offices in Boston, hopefully by mid-year, a little bit later. So thinking about what can you do on the margin to grow your own business is the most important thing.
On that note of promoting growth through organic growth, Chris Oddleifson, CEO of Rockland Trust Bank, thanks for joining us.
Thank you very much.
Thanks for coming in, Chris.
Thank you.